Welcome back, focused learners, to another explainer. Let's just dive right into this, because today we're peeling back the layers on one of the most misunderstood encounters in, well, all of gaming. If you've played Dark Souls, you absolutely know the boss I'm talking about. That towering, lava-spewing monstrosity blocking your path to the demon ruins. But what if I told you that what seems like just another monstrous obstacle is actually hiding one of the absolute deepest, most heartbreaking stories in the entire franchise?
So, it's a great question, isn't it? Is Ceaseless Discharge really just a poorly named, annoying boss you just want to swat out of the way, or is he actually the most tragic figure in Dark Souls? We're going to take a bit of an iceberg approach to our analysis today. We'll start right at the surface with how most of us experience this boss, and then we're going to plunge straight into the deep lore and community translations to uncover the heart-wrenching truth hidden just beneath all that lava.
Section 1. Beating Ceaseless Discharge. The surface strategy. Now, when you first encounter this massive, imposing boss on your way down to the demon ruins, your immediate thought is probably, okay, how on earth do I survive this? Looking at the standard Eurogamer guide for the encounter, it highlights two very different approaches. On the one hand, we have the fair fight. This involves dodging these massive tentacle slams, boosting your physical defense, and desperately trying to stay out of range of his completely unblockable fire attacks. It is grueling. But then we have what Eurogamer calls the easy way, and let's be honest, this is what most players end up doing. You grab his attention, sprint all the way back to the fog gate, and just wait. Because of the way his AI is scripted, he takes this massive leap to follow you, hangs onto the cliff edge by a single hand, and if you just whack that hand a few times, he falls into the abyss below to his doom. It kind of feels like a glitch, but it's entirely intentional design.
And honestly, most players are just relieved to get it over with. As the author of that Eurogamer guide notes, Ceaseless Discharge, which has a pretty gross name once you think about it. And they're right. In English, it conjures up images of infection and bodily fluids. It just sounds repulsive. You defeat him, you chuckle or cringe at the name, and you move on. But, my friends, this is Dark Souls. Literally nothing is ever just a gross joke. So let's peel back that first layer.
Section 2. Translation. What's in a name?
To really understand what's going on here, we have to look at the passionate Dark Souls community over on Reddit, where fans began debating if this bizarre English name was actually a massive translation mishap. I mean, why would the developers name a boss something so randomly off-putting? Well, a specific translation provided by a user named Splace42 points out that the original Japanese name for the boss is Tadaret Suzuki Rumono. When you transliterate that directly, it means that thing that keeps making you sore. Now, what's really interesting about this translation is it translates a bit more accurately to the lore as the continually sore one. Suddenly, the tone pivots entirely, doesn't it? This isn't a creature named to gross you out. This is a creature named after its own endless, agonizing physical pain. He's constantly generating lava, and his body is covered in inflamed, unhealing sores. The name isn't a joke. It's a medical diagnosis of eternal torment. But why? Is he suffering? Where did he even come from?
Section 3. The Hubris of Izalith.
To understand the suffering of the continually sore one, we've got to rely on some deep translations from Loki lore to discover exactly who this creature's family is, going all the way back to the dawn of the Age of Fire. Let's walk through this sequence. Step 1. The Witch of Izalith, one of the original lords, finds a powerful lord's soul. Step 2. Driven by arrogant ambition, she attempts to use her soul to duplicate the first flame, the very source of life and disparity. Step 3. It goes horribly, horribly wrong. She loses control of the experiment, creating the unstable, mutating flame of chaos. And finally, Step 4. This chaotic flame engulfs her and her family, transforming her into the twisted bed of chaos and ultimately giving birth to an entire demon civilization.
But before we move on, we really have to understand what the witches were actually studying. Pyromancy, founded by the Witches of Izalith, isn't just throwing fireballs. As the character Laurentius tells us, it is the art of primal life. They were scientists of creation, fascinated by the life-giving properties of the first flame. Their hubris wasn't just wanting a bigger fire, they wanted to control the very essence of life itself. And the chaotic, mutated life that resulted from that failure, yeah, that was an incredibly heavy price to pay.
Section 4. The Daughters of Chaos.
Now, when that flame erupted, not everyone was instantly destroyed. Some survived, though they were forever altered. Looking at this family tree, you have these incredibly powerful witch sisters. Quilana, the eldest who escaped and founded modern pyromancy. Gwaelana, Quelaag, who became a terrifying chaos demon protecting her sibling. and the fair lady, the youngest sister, burdened by disease and eggs. But notice that single figure at the bottom. Among this legendary coven of powerful witch sisters, there is a single youngest brother.
Section 5. A grieving brother's tragedy.
All right, armed with this deep lore about a ruined family and a single younger brother, let's bring this explainer back to your immediate experience as a player. Let me ask you a crucial question. When you first walk past the fog gate and see this massive lava-dripping titan, why doesn't he attack you? Seriously, in a game where literally everything wants to kill you on sight, Ceaseless Discharge just stands there. He is completely peaceful, indifferent, and non-hostile. He's just staring off into the distance.
So, the crucial point is how the fight actually begins. As the Eurogamer Guide coldly states, stealing the items will trigger the fight. You walk to the far end of the arena and find a corpse on an altar. When you loot it, you get the gold-hemmed black hood and robes. These aren't just random armor pieces, guys. These are the ancient, fire-resistant garments worn by the Daughters of Chaos. It's the burial clothing of his family.
A Reddit user beautifully summarized the emotional recontextualization happening here, saying, "He is standing watch over a shrine. When you take the clothes, you are desecrating a body and a family memorial and vigil. Just think about what you've just done. You didn't trigger a boss fight. You walked into a graveyard, found a grieving, pain-riddled younger brother keeping a silent vigil over his mother or sister's grave, and you robbed it right in front of him. No wonder he erupts into a violent rage."
Section 6. The Centipede and Ring.
To conclude this tragedy, we need to look at one specific in-game item, intimately tied to this brother's endless burning torment. Deep in the demon ruins, you acquire the orange charred ring. The lore description reads, since his sores were inflamed by lava from birth, his witch sisters gave him this special ring. Remember, he was the very first demon born when the flame of chaos was completely unstable. He was born in perpetual agony, his body literally leaking lava. His older sisters, out of deep love and mercy, enchanted this ring just to soothe their little brother's agonizing burns.
But the tragedy doesn't end there. The lore tells us he dropped the ring, and from that exact spot, a terrible centipede demon was born. And this brilliantly illustrates a dark, hidden connection. Remember the easy way to beat him? You make him jump, he hangs on the cliff, and you slash his hand until he falls. A fascinating Reddit theory points out that the centipede demon you fight later is literally composed of severed, creeping limbs. The theory suggests the centipede demon is his severed hand, mutated by the power of the ring after you chopped it off to win the fight. You didn't just kill him, you mutilated him and spawned another horror entirely.
Which leaves us with this final, lingering thought. You entered a peaceful sanctuary. You desecrated a family's holy resting place. You stole the burial clothes of a loved one. And you exploited a grieving, perpetually suffering younger brother into falling to his doom. In this bleak, dying world, are we, the players, the real monsters of Dark Souls? It's a question definitely worth pondering the next time you face the continually sore one. Thank you for joining me on this explainer, Focus Learners. Stay curious, and I'll catch you in the next one.